Hey, and welcome to another episode of Success Ladder. So let me tell you, today we are having an amazing episode. This is the first time that I'm having a guest on Success Ladder. And I want you to get ready because you're going to have a very interesting conversation. The guest that I'm having, he'll introduce himself after a short while. But I have a question for you. Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered, am I living to the best version of myself? So that is a question that today I want us to answer or to have a conversation around. And joining me for this episode and for this conversation is a gentleman. And when I say gentleman, I mean gentleman, and a friendly and a great person. So I want us to talk about why being the best version of yourself matters. And I'm joined by one and only Shammah Njenga. Shammah, welcome. You can introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Paul. It's a pleasure to be part of this particular episode, and I'm looking forward to a great interaction, especially around being the best versions of ourselves.
So there is one thing that I want to tell you about. Is my friend. At the moment we meet almost every day of the week. We do a lot of things together. So this is going to be one of the most amazing episodes, and it's going to be lively. So Shammah, I don't want us to waste time. My first question for you today, before I ask my first question, who is Shammah?
That's an interesting question. Shammah is someone who is a change agent. He's someone who's passionate about impacting lives. He's someone who's passionate about ensuring that we live our best versions. And that's some of the things that we're going to talk about today. Aside from that, he's also a cybersecurity engineer. That's one of the avenues that he makes impact in the world, especially now that we're living in a digital space.
Yeah. So you mentioned that he's a cybersecurity engineer. So that is one thing that we share in common, apart from playing football together. So I'm also a cybersecurity engineer. And my first question for you, Shammah, when you talk about being the best version of yourself, why does it matter to you as a person?
Yeah, I think being the best version of yourself is all about recognizing your potential vis-a-vis the core values that you hold. You need to have a perfect marriage between the two aspects. The reason I say this is because if you don't recognize who you are, it will be very difficult for you to, grow and become the best version of yourself. The second thing is, if you don't understand your potential, you might not leverage the most out of your inner self. But being the best version of yourself is about being authentic, understanding why you exist, understanding the impact that you can have, being truthful, having respect for others. Ultimately, it's all about treating others with respect and living out the values that you hold dear and what defines you.
Yeah. Amazing, being authentic.
Yes.
That's a great line that I picked from your discussion there. Then I would want to ask, how did you discover your passion and your purpose in life?
I think curiosity is the leading factor. Always being out there to understand what are the possibilities, being positive. So for me, I was always curious, what's the one thing that I can do to impact other people's lives? What's the one thing that I can do to leverage on my ability to lead other people? What's the one thing that I can do to explore the different capabilities that exist within me? So to answer your question, how did I discover my passion in life? I think I discovered my passion through a combination of multiple factors. Number one, self-reflection. Number two, feedback from other people. Number three, understanding what I'm passionate about. And also the willingness to trying out new things. That has been very important, because without the ability or willingness to explore, you never really or truly understand what you're passionate about. And these are some of the things that are important in one's life. So for me to discover what I was passionate about, I had to try out different things. Does that mean I failed in others? Yes, terribly. And through this, there are different lessons that you pick out of different experiences. And that was how I discovered my purpose.
Yeah. Great. You know, there is one thing I always say, a growth mindset. A growth mindset is where you don't view failure as setbacks. They don't bring you down. But then what you do when you fail is you pick lessons from them. And I think that is what I understand from how you discovered your passion. Then can you share maybe a personal story about a time when you overcame a significant challenge and how it shaped you as a person?
I think even before I answer that question, it's important to note that the journey to self-discovery is not linear. It's not defined.
Yeah, it's not a straight line.
It's not a straight line, and it's unique for everyone, you know. It's not something that you will wake up, give someone a blueprint and say, follow this to discover yourself. You might have markers along the way, markers to ensure that you are on the correct path, markers that help you understand, am I doing the right thing at that particular moment in time? But that does not mean your journey and my journey or someone else's journey will be the same. Yeah, and just to give an example, in my line of work previously, I was involved in a project. This project had tight timelines. It had conflicting interests, as any other project in the world. You know,
when you talk about timelines and projects, I understand you.
I believe as human beings we have a unique factor, especially in our current generation, whereby we want things to be done faster, we want things to be done immediately, and this is no exception in any professional project. So for me, I was faced with a significant challenge whereby I was assigned to lead a critical project. And by critical, I mean it had a lot of revolving interests with many significant people. And with tight deadlines, of course, and as usual, limited resources. As we all know, resources are most of the time limited. So the project required me to coordinate a diverse team across several countries. I will not mention the intricacies that comes with it. The team that I was working with at that time, we had not interacted much, so there was still a lot of ice to break. And part of the reason was this team was constituted very quickly to handle a very intense project. So we had to have a balance between breaking the ice and the execution of the project. Didn't have a lot of time to bond as a team. So these are some of the constraints that were cutting across the project that I was handling. And of course the stakeholders, for them, they care about one thing: success or failure. Are we making progress? So to overcome this challenge, what did I have to do? I had to clearly communicate to the stakeholders and mention this is where we are. I had to, whenever there's a challenge, it needed to come out very clearly. And how you communicate, which is something that maybe you can speak about another day, is very critical. You could have an issue, but how it is put across changes everything. And this happens in relationships at all levels, whether it's your professional relationship, your personal relationships. This has to come out very clearly. But to overcome this challenge, I focused on clear communication. I had regular meetings with the stakeholders that are involved. Everyone was aligned with the goals that were in place. Now, I had to make a point, of course, of listening to each of the team members' concerns, what they cared about, what was important to them. Because if you do not address these particular fundamental pointers, you will not have a successful project. To answer your question, those are some of the ways that I did overcome this particular significant challenge. And at the end of the day, the project was delivered on time, within budget. We slightly went a little bit over the budget, but we found compensating controls for that at the end of it.
So there is something I picked from your story. When you're talking about having a project team being constituted and you didn't have that time to bond, then you realize that I think most of the time we just focus on work. We don't focus on that team, that team spirit, and that team spirit comes from bonding. So What will you say about that, about bonding, for you to work effectively? I know it has worked for you in occasions. You are somebody I know, and I think it's very important. Everything that you do, even from family level to school level to work level, your professional, even in business, that bonding with their colleagues, with your customers, it's very important. What can you say about that, and how it has helped you?
Yeah, I think for forming teams, there are usually multiple stages that are involved.
Yeah.
Whenever you have a group of people together, at first they need to break the ice, number one, to understand who am I dealing with, to understand this particular person, this is how they react to different situations, this is what they view important from their own, what is their nature, how have they been brought up, because all these things are going to influence how you form as a team. After that, you'll have the rough edges. When you're forming, everyone is trying to accommodate each other, expressing their best selves, what they think is important for others to know, setting boundaries. After you go through that stage, it's when you really get to understand what the assignment is, because everyone has put aside, this is who I am, these are the boundaries that I think I've set. If I have my mug on the table, please don't touch it. If you sit on my chair and you adjust the height, I'll be mad, such fundamental items. After the forming has happened, this is when actual work can actually begin to happen. So it's a matter of how fast can you get through the initial phase. It's not something that you can rush. It's not something that you can put to a certain scale. Say within 2 days a hunt has to have known each other deeply. No, because unique circumstances are going to come out every day. And when such circumstances come up, they're going to define new attributes from people that you had not even noticed. From the basics of someone touched my food in the kitchen, to you called me a name I don't prefer. Maybe I recently changed my religion, and I do not want you to refer to me, with a different name. The deep cutting issues. That's where the trick lies. And as a leader, for you to be confident and inspire others, or to equip others to move forward, these are the aspects that you need to pick up from your team very fast.
Thank you. Great. Because I feel it's very important that you must create a very healthy environment with your surrounding, whether at work, whether in business, because that one is also going to contribute to how you're going to exploit your potential. If you don't create that healthy environment with your surrounding, it can limit your potential. Maybe the next thing that I can ask you, Shammah, what role does self-care play in becoming the best version of yourself?
I think when you talk about self-care, especially in our context, what comes to mind first for everyone is, how can I live a luxurious life? How can I explore the good things that life has to offer? But this is usually miscommunicated. Self-care is all about becoming the best version of yourself, by providing a foundation that works for your overall well-being. It's not a matter of exposing yourself to every high-end opportunity that comes your way for you to feel comfortable physically. It's a cumulative idea, both mentally, both spiritually, physically. I'm not going to downplay that if you're sitting in a good chair is not part of self-care. No, it is it is part of it. But it's a matter of fostering awareness, self-awareness, knowing who am I and where do I want to be. So in my experience, self-care and becoming the best version of yourself is crucial, of course, when you're maintaining the balance. It's about preventing burnout. Not focusing on one particular aspect for a long time, that you start becoming, not productive. You start picking up on items that you initially had not even considered. Like, for example, if you're working 12 hours in a day, you've not taken any water, you've not taken any food, it will get to a point where your productivity level will plateau. You start even having disorganized thoughts.
Yeah.
So when you combine self-care and becoming the best version of yourself, it's all about how can I grow? How can I achieve the visions that I've set for myself? And that's something that we are going to be speaking about maybe as part of this episode. It's about improving ourselves, continually. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I think it's very important for us to realize our full potential. It's very important to take care of ourselves. And you mentioned vision, and they say that if you want to walk a journey, you have to define your destination before you start walking that journey. And for me, that destination is future, is having vision for the future. So I want to ask you that how is it important to set goals for your future? You have that vision, there is something you intend, there is that destination you want to get to. And I believe for you to get there, you have to set your goals. So how is setting goals important for you to actually actualize or realize that dream that you're having for the future?
I think that's a great question, because without vision, a nation is in turmoil.
Yep.
And in this sense, I'm using the word nation loosely. A nation could represent an individual, could represent
A business,
an organization,
a country.
Without vision, there is a problem.
Yeah.
That's why even globally we do have sustainable goals.
Yeah.
They form a blueprint or a foundation of some of the things we should globally care about. And when it comes to setting goals and creating your vision, this is crucial, especially for personal and even professional growth.
Yeah.
A vision paints the picture.
Yeah.
Where do I want to go as an individual? Where do you want to go as an organization?
Yeah.
But goals come in to specifically keep us on track, to give us a measurable output. Are we doing what we need to be doing? In my experience, setting goals has been instrumental in helping me to stay on track, to understand the steps that I am taking, to always be positive, counting on the wins that I get right now, and ensuring that where I'm focusing my energy is where I want to go. An example would be whenever you're making career choices, for example. I would say I want to be, for example, a neurosurgeon. What do I need to do to get there? I need to go probably to a school of medicine.
True.
So one of my goals would be to ensure I am able to qualify to get into a school of medicine. My second goal could be, for example, I need to ensure I've gone through the school of medicine without missing any classes, without missing any exams, without missing any practicals, especially. So for me to tie together goals and visions, creating a vision, it's about taking control of your life. And you cannot take control of your life if you don't know where you want to go. You cannot take control of your life if you don't understand the steps that you need to take. So focusing on becoming the best version of yourself is all about being proactive, being intentional, and that's what a vision, a set of goals help you do.
True. Yeah. You see, every journey that I walk, I always set the end goal. I always think of the end goal before I start walking that journey. I have to look at where do I want to go, and then I can now strategize on how actually to get there. So I think it's very important to set goals. It's very important to set goals. But before you set goals, you must have that vision, and that vision must be accompanied by goals, because these goals are the ones that are going to keep you on track. If you ask me today, before I started Success Ladder, there is a vision that I have, a vision to reach the whole world with inspirational stories, inspirational conversation. So I have goals to get there. I won't say that I'll just wake up and do one episode and then I'm global. No, it's a journey. So I have goals that I've set. So I think that one is very important. Allow me to ask you, what advice would you give a young person who is struggling to find their purpose. It might not be actually limited to young people only, but generally that person who is struggling to find their purpose. Some people find their purpose very late in life, but then what can you tell these people, and especially that young person, so that they don't find themselves not knowing their purpose in life until they reach old age? So what can you tell these people who are struggling to find their purpose in life?
I think the first thing I'll tell them is finding your purpose is a journey. It's not really a destination. That's the first thing I would tell this particular young person, because we tend to pull out or to exhume the joy of the journey from any particular approach that you take. We want to get there, the destination. But the thrill, the growth, the ability to learn comes from the journey itself. For example, if you are taking on an escapade, say I want to go to town B from here, you will be excited when you get to town B.
True.
But how you get there is what forms the experience that you'll have at town B.
I agree.
So, like, for example, if you take a rough road to town B, you'll get there tired, number one. You'll get there exhausted. You probably have to rest for a whole day to recover. But if you take a good road, you take a scenic route, you get there a happy person. You get there someone rejuvenated, even looking forward to what you're going to do in town B. So to answer your question, what advice would I give a young person who's trying to find their purpose? Number, they need to understand it's all about the journey itself. The purpose will come. Okay. The second thing that they need to know, they need to reflect on what gives them joy. Okay. And you cannot reflect on what gives you joy if you're only focused on the destination of where you want to go. So if you understand the little things, this is what I'm passionate about. This is where I derive joy from. It will give you guidance on how to be the best version of yourself. It will give you guidance on what purpose you're chasing about. Secondly, you need to seek feedback, because you do not exist in an island. You impact people every day. You interact with other people day in, day out.
And when you talk about feedback, I believe you're talking about accepting correction, because that is always the challenge. Especially young people, sometimes they feel like, no, what I'm doing is the right thing, and they don't like, especially negative feedback. They don't like that negative critics. And what most people don't understand is that those negative critics, they're not to bring you down. They're actually meant to realize the best version from you.
So one thing that defines a man, and in this case, when I say a man, I mean both gender, is how you take feedback, whether positive or negative feedback, and more specifically, negative feedback, because that's where we fail in most instances.
And that is where we have great lessons.
Exactly. So there have been tried and tested ways on how you can take feedback. And it's not all about just taking feedback. As a leader also, it has to be about how you give feedback. You do not identify an issue that you need to provide feedback in someone and you just attack the issue directly. There are different personalities, granted, but there are better ways to go about it. One example is the sandwich method. It's very common. If you have to address an issue, you find two nice ways to cover it up, just like a sandwich. A bun, and the meat all gone in between. So if I need to tell someone you speak loudly, I might start by telling them, you have a good voice for radio, by the way. Did you know that? You can address people even without a microphone. And they will hear what you're saying, or they listen to you. And then tell them, but sometimes I think you come out too strong for other people.
And I hope you're not telling me that.
No. So I remember a friend of mine they did not have the best packaging, let me call it that way. Physically, they are not very well endowed, but they had a very good voice. And one of my mentors was telling them, by the way, do you know you have a very good voice for radio and also a very good face for radio? At this point in time, this particular person was choosing to go into media, specifically into televised media. And he had a very great voice. My mentor was telling him, you have a very good voice for radio. What does that mean? Your voice might be very impactful on radio and no one will see your face. But you will impact very many people because of your voice. So these are some of the ways that you can try give feedback. And just to get back to your initial question, there's an aspect of about being patient with yourself. Patience is not all about waiting on someone. It's not all about expressing it externally. It's also about your attitude when you're, in that particular journey. How much of yourself are you willing to, give time to learn something? It's not all about something that you find overnight. It's okay to take your time. Experiment, change directions. Each step you take brings you closer to your purpose. So being patient is very critical. And aside from that, you need to focus on growth, not perfection. If you say I want to be 100% perfect, you'll never start. Okay. It's for example, if you want to start a business, if you wait for everything to align for you to have every resource that you need, you'll never get started. You'll never get started. So what do? You focus on the steps that you can take. For example, if instead of putting your pressure on yourself to be the perfect person or to have the perfect purpose, focus on the learnings. What lessons are you picking? What lessons are you picking out of the journey, day in and day out? So ultimately, I think you have to remember that purpose is not something that has to be world changing for you. And what do I mean by this? You could change the world globally, or you could change the world for someone. That someone could be you, that someone could be someone else. You have to understand that it just needs to be meaningful to you. There are outliers whereby purpose for other people will be meaningful to everyone. I don't dispute that. But if you're starting out on that journey, start by being positively selfish. And I don't want anyone to misquote me on this. Be true to yourself first. Find the path that is right for you. Because without understanding your own purpose, even extrapolating this purpose to impact other people will be a problem.
True. I agree with you. So that young person who is outside there trying to find their purpose, you had it. Focus on learning, focus on growth, not perfection. Try and find things that make you joyful, and then you're going to realize your purpose, and then walk the journey step by step. Shammah, there is another thing that I would want to ask you. As a person, how do you balance personal growth with healthy relationships?
That's an interesting question, Paul, because I will not make a general assumption of what a healthy relationship is. So probably I can start from there. From my perspective, a healthy relationship is one whereby you communicate openly. You understand the boundaries between each other. You have the leeway to make mistakes, and you also have the leeway to correct each other. I define that as a healthy relationship. And of course, you need to integrate growth into relationships. When we meet for the first time, I expect us to be at a certain level of our friendship. As we continue to grow, I need to see growth as well for us, because over time I know, okay, this is time for Paul to focus on task A. I will understand. Normally, whenever such a task comes up, Paul usually needs about 2 hours.
True.
So I know when to approach Paul
Yeah.
for a certain, task B.
Yeah.
So that growth has to happen. It's not a solitary journey.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing we need to understand.
Yeah.
Growth involves everyone. Growth involves the people that you have impact on,
True.
your circles of influence.
Yeah.
So I think prioritizing what is quality to you is going to be very important in that particular journey.
Yeah.
So quality time assigned to different tasks is crucial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. True. I agree. And as somebody that that I know, somebody that I'm close, I think our relationship is one of the best relationships because the communication is always very open, and we also have those boundaries that we put in place. So I think it's important. To actually know the boundaries, and I think when it comes to boundaries, this is where relationships normally fail. Be it family relationship, work relationships, you realize that people try to actually not understand this thing called boundaries, so they can easily cross over to the other side of you, and normally when you try to speak about it, it's not received well. So I think it's very important, because again, if you're too accommodative, you're not going to grow. You're not going to grow as a person.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because different people have different temperaments. You'd find people who are open to correction. You'd find people who are open to criticism. You'd find others who are not. You'd find others who communicate in different ways. Maybe my form of communication is shutting myself out from the rest of the people. Maybe someone else's communication method is to go and be away from that particular situation. Bury my head in the sand and hope by the time I'm back, this particular person would have recovered from whatever was going on. So understanding how we communicate will enable us to even set boundaries clearly and even communicate those boundaries to others. It's a game of managing expectations. If the expectations are not set, someone will be disappointed. If the expectations are set strongly, someone will still be disappointed. So it's a matter of how do I find the sweet spot. At the back of the mind is you always understand that you will not make everyone happy. So you have to choose what priorities do you have to take at that particular time. Where do you focus your energy? And in this case, focusing your energy might mean making other people happy more than others, and it has to be clear what you're choosing at that particular time. Because if you do not choose, the world will choose for you.
Thank you, Shammah. I think that was amazing. What is the last message that you want to give out, at least for today? I'm saying for today because I know we'll continue having different conversations with you. This is just the first one, not the last, not even close to the last. We can have 1,000 more conversations. So what's your last message to people outside there?
I think for me, my takeaway is one, Paul. We are at a critical point in time, especially for young people. A time whereby we need to come out strongly. A time whereby we need to understand who we are. A time whereby we need to express ourselves. The world is changing. And if we don't change with the world, we'll be left behind. If we don't influence the change in the world, the world will be chaotic. I'll speak about a verse in the Bible that I am very familiar with, and it guides most of the things that I do. From the book of Timothy. It tells me that I should not let anyone look down on me because I'm young. I should not let anyone look down on me because I'm not advanced in age. Because we know in our times, if we tend to attach wisdom to advancement in age, and it's a good and valid point. But this verse continues to say, but we should leave out as examples. And it cites very specific items where you can leave out as an example.
Yeah.
In speech,
Yeah.
in behavior, in our admonitions,
Yeah.
in the way that we express ourselves, so that we represent who Christ is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, what it means is, let's focus out.
Yeah.
Let us be willing to take risks.
Yeah.
Let us be willing to walk into those conversations whereby we can express who we are.
True.
Let us be open to criticism, because there are people who've done this before. There's nothing new under the sun. Only methods change, but the goals have been there since time immemorial.
Yeah.
So as young people, let's find our purpose. And whenever you feel you're getting lost, consult.
True.
Because there are people who've done this before, and the people can give you, they can guide you along the way. Yeah. So
Thank
that's
you.
what I say.
Thank you, Shammah.
Thank you very much.
Hope to see you soon.
It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
All right. And that's it. That's a glimpse of an intriguing discussion of the potential that is within us. We can exploit it. Remember one thing: exploiting your full potential or becoming the best version of yourself is a personal journey, and it's a journey that is worth walking. So start your journey today. Take that risk. Define your vision. Remember one thing, that it's not always about perfection, it's always about growth. My name is Paul Brian, and today I was with one and only Shammah Njenga. I say bye-bye, till next time. Thank you.